The seagulls follow the trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
So it's Sunday morning and it's Celtic. Celtic are playing today, and thank you to everybody for joining me. I'm joined by three people today: Scott, David, and Phil. Thank you for joining me, guys. It's great to be on.
No worries at all, my man. No worries.
So in
Thanks for having
about,
us.
no problem. So in about 10 minutes' time, we'll be getting the team news from the Tony Macaroni Stadium. So, guys, what are we thinking going into this match? Because usually the Tony Macaroni is not a nice place to go for Celtic, but I'm hoping that we can get the 3 points. But we've seen last week just how difficult that Livingston can make it for the two big teams in Scotland.
It was a surprise result, to say the least, last week, because I don't think many of us Celtic-minded type people would have seen that one coming. Oh, Livingston go to Ibrox, Martindale. It's like, so they fair play to them that did that. But obviously, on their own park, they are a bit of a different beast at times. We have not got the best of records. It stuns me how little we've come away with at Almondvale, and I still call it Almondvale. I refuse to call it the sponsor name. It's just like, come on, it's so stupid. But yeah, it's mad that 2018 they came up, and we've had one victory there since then. It's like,
yep.
But luckily, Ange showed that last season that I think he learned from the mistakes of the first time we played them last season at Almondvale. And the game we beat them back in April, I want to say, or March, it was pretty comprehensive in the end. So fingers crossed, Reegan, that we see something similar to that today, mate.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you, David, what do you think the Celtic start lineup will be? Do you think Kyogo will play, or do you think Giakoumakis will play? Because obviously we'll get the team news in about 6 or 7 minutes. But do you think it'll be Giakoumakis or Kyogo, David?
I think it'll be Giakoumakis. I think he'll definitely start him today. I think, like Russell's been saying a few times lately, like he's at the point, I think, where he's forcing Ange's hand that he has to start Giakoumakis, especially in a game where we're going to such a difficult stadium to play in. It's a much more physical game. They're going to be compact. They're going to be organised. We just might need to drop a bit of chaos in there to try and open them up. But that's not necessarily saying that he won't find a way to get Kyogo in the team again. He might have that experiment. I'll actually listen to the TNF this morning. Phil was catching up with some shows, and it's not to say that necessarily the experiment with the two of them didn't work. because, like you say, Giakoumakis did score a goal. Kyogo just is lacking confidence just now, and I think Ange wants to try and almost ride that wave out a little bit, almost like what he did with Hatate near the end of last season. We all knew Hatate needed to be dropped or needed rested, but Ange persisted with just kind of trying to play through that bad spell. We all know what a great player Kyogo is, and we always say what's the terminology? Form is temporary, class is permanent. I think we've got a class player there. Where we fit him in is the big debate. Whether you want to play him in that 10 role or try and play him, just off of Giakoumakis, or do you want to put him out left? I'd be more inclined to play him out left today. I'm not too against that, if I'm being perfectly honest. The guy played his entire career in Japan, apparently, in that position. That got him his £4 million move to Celtic. I don't think we've seen enough of him out there to suggest it's an absolute dud of a position from the playing in our league. But we've obviously got other players. We've got an abundance of left wingers that we don't really necessarily need to see him in that role. However, with Jota not available yet, and with Hacksaw can play across the front three, I quite like seeing Hacksaw on that number 10 role. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe him playing there today, and we could try Kyogo out there. Just keep trying to find this where we could fit the two of them in together.
Scott, what about you? Scott, what are you thinking ahead of today's game, mate?
I don't think he'll play the two of them together 2 games in a row. I can't see it. No, on that pitch for a start. I mean, you didn't want your 2 best players injured at the same time, do you? So I think he's going to bring James Forrest in and play Aaron Moy.
Oh,
I mean,
that's fighting talk around here on the bus.
I know everybody loves a donkey, yeah, but you know what I mean. But I can't see him doing it 2 games in a row. I think he's going to go with. I think he'll go with Chaos, and they'll play James Forrest, and then Hacks on the other side. I think Greg Taylor will play as well.
Aye.
David's making a great point in the chat. Ange Postecoglou said on Friday that Jota is back available for today.
Is that right? Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
Interesting.
But,
interesting.
Yeah, you'll know there's Jota on that pitch though.
Aye, but the problem is that we've got, and everybody's at risk. I know what you're saying, Scott.
Yeah.
Playing the two of them together, it's a risk for everybody. I mean, who was it a few years ago doing it? Kelly, the Rangers player, was it Murphy? Remember, he injured himself on a plastic pitch. Any player. So Jota's at as much risk if Abada plays today. So it's like we're going to have to just do what we need to do, and hopefully we come through completely unscathed, or else, But we've had the debate about the plastic pitches so much, and it's like they need to go. Why are they allowed in a top flight? But money, I guess, obviously.
For the big talking point this week was the entrepreneur that brought it in across Europe. I think it was the Dutch that brought it in. They've now scrapped it in Holland.
Yeah, they're phasing it all out, aren't they? Yeah, they're starting to phase it right out of top level football.
It needs to go. You shouldn't be playing on carpets in the top flight.
No,
so that's what it is. It's just a carpet, and a bad one at that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you've got that substitution as well playing in the car park outside, you know what I mean?
Red Ash pitch, one of them.
Another thing Andrew was speaking about this week was the fact that Starfield maybe fit as well. Do you think he'll throw Starfield back in, or do you think he'll stick with Jens at the back?
I think he'll stick with Jens.
Aye. I would have said that, because I can't see him just. Starfield's had a long way off to throw him in now in this type of game. But I think when Starfield does get back up to full fitness, I think it's his shot. Again, I think he'll come back in and take the spot, and I'm okay with that. I know
I'm okay with that as well.
A lot of fans I've noticed in the last few weeks, with Starfield, where they had a wee pop up. Well, last season they seemed to want him after a bit of a rocky start. Seem to have now reverted back to, he's shite, he's rubbish, and all that. And it's like, I don't know, man. Him and Carter Vickers together are excellent. They've shown that they're a good partnership. You don't want to break that up.
Yeah.
I mean, he can tackle, but he can't pass.
Aye, exactly. That's Carter Vickers' job.
I think he had one of the highest passing accuracy in the team.
He did. Aye.
I mean, they were only to back and forward to Carter Vickers 7 times within 5 seconds, but it's still the stats don't lie.
No, they don't.
It's like what you call it when the Brendan Rodgers Invincible season. Apparently, Boyata had the most touches that season of any player in the Celtic team because it was mostly Craig Gordon shot ball to Boyata, sideways pass to maybe Seminovic, who plays it Scott Brown back to Boyata. Turns out he had more touches than anybody. He only played half a season as well that year.
I don't know what you think, Phil, but I think Boyata got a bad reputation because I thought Boyata was okay. I mean, the guy won a treble. He wasn't a bad player with Celtic.
I thought he was fine. I mean, he came back in. I remember the fear when he did reappear in the team. It was after we beat Rangers at Ibrox in a New Year game, and then we had like a Scottish Cup game after it, and Sviatchenko didn't play too well at Ibrox, and Brendan Rodgers had made his mind up. And out of nowhere, Boyata's back in the team, and then he was in the team consistently after that, but he did well there. But in Europe the next season, his deficiencies were definitely showing. But he was solid enough, though. Solid enough.
Remember that game against Motherwell? Boyata got booed because he refused to play against AK Athens.
Yeah.
Came on and scored. Did not score a goal.
He scored the winning goal.
The only goal, I think it was. He's a regular pick for the Belgian national side, I'm sure, is he not? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't be a bad player if you're getting in that squad regularly. Mm-hmm. I think, but you're right, Boyata did have a bit of a. It was a sort of love-hate relationship. I wonder if it was to do with the fact that he came in the following season after Jason Denayer left, and we were getting another Belgian player from the Man City youth team, and we were just assuming it was going to be a Denayer 0.2. But am I right in saying he's at Hertha Berlin now?
Oh, he's with Club Brugge. He got released by Hertha Berlin, but Club Brugge are doing bits at the moment, aren't they? They're like our favourite hipster team in Europe. Yeah, man, but what they've done this year. Boyata.
Fucking fairy tale. It's a fucking fairy tale.
I think Club Brugge are the only one of the two teams, along with Man City, that have qualified for the last 16 already, Phil.
Mental. Never seen that coming, but that goes back to what we've talked about in our situation. When you see teams like that can go away to Porto, and I think they won 4-0 away to Porto. It's like, geez, man. And I know some people said, they've been consistently qualifying for the Champions League 5 years in a row, but it's like, come on, man, is the Belgian league really that better? Is our squad that much better than some of the players that we buy? So they've got Digit Boyata at centre back, who was our centre back 6 years ago. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Jack Henry the year before.
That's right. So they did, Jack Henry, I know.
Phil, if you could keep an eye on Twitter, mate, for the team news, that'd be great.
Do you know that's literally what I'm doing right now? I'm on another window just now, just refreshing the Celtic Twitter feed to see if it comes up. But only Livingston's team news is in at the moment. That's all. So
have they got Newbury up front or Andrew Shinnie?
Let's have a wee look. I'll tell you. Oh God, there's a reminder about VAR. Yes, we know. I was like a it's like a feed on the Celtic website giving us updates, and it's like the first one is a reminder that VAR is in use today. Here's all you need to know. Read more on VAR. Yes, we know. Thanks for that Celtic FC website. Thank you. I can't see that. I'll go to Livingston's official Twitter. They'll have it more clearer, I'd imagine.
What about that penalty Rangers got yesterday compared to the Celtic shout last week?
Yes, outrageous.
He kind of juggled the ball away, but our aim was more obvious, and we didn't get it. And then he couldn't. The ref couldn't wait to go to the VAR for it. You know what I mean? He couldn't wait. No, he got excited. He got a wee semi when he got the shout.
Again, this is why the club
is a morning
called
show,
out.
Scott, for goodness sake.
This is a morning show.
Again, the club Celtic failed last week in not saying something publicly, or
But they're not actually saying this, no.
Don't think so. If they did, I think we would have definitely heard about it or talked about it at some point through the week, and nothing seemed to come out. If they've done it privately, even if they've done it privately, you'd imagine it would have got leaked somewhere that the club would approach, but nothing at all.
I want to ask David first, what do you make of Greg Taylor? Because I think Greg Taylor's been Celtic's best player this season, David.
Yeah, Greg Taylor has been consistently probably arguably our best player. Bob, I've had this shirt since my honeymoon in April, mate. I wear it all the time, but a wee bit of tongue in cheek. I'm glad you like it. Greg Taylor. It's one of the ones again where it's like we brought in this £4 million Argentinian left back who we pretty much thought was going to be the one that would take his shirt immediately. Greg Taylor's forced Ange's hand to not be the case. I think he's completely won over the fans. I remember last year a lot of us were saying that the left-hand side, Greg Taylor's side, was being targeted a lot by our opposition. I would say they're now going down the right a lot more now because of just how well Greg Taylor's done. When you're getting your left back putting in a battling performance off the bench last week to grab a last-minute winner, that just speaks volumes for me. When our backs were up against the wall, it felt like everything was against us, or everybody was against us. That's what it felt like at the time. Nothing was going to go in our way, and up steps Greg Taylor to win the game. I'm so chuffed with the guy because like he has been the runt of the litter for a long time. He's just been and he's now shown he's much more of an alpha in the squad than maybe a lot of players.
Team news is in, guys.
Oh.
So Boise Bus Chat, make some noise for the boys. Here it is. It is Hart, Ralston, Carter Vickers, Jens, Taylor, Moy, O'Reilly, Hitati, Forrest, Haksabanovic, and Kyogo. Giacomakis does not start. Your bench, Segrist, Giacomakis, Abada, Tombo, Jota, Bernabai, Abelgard, Maida, and Juranovic. That is your starting 11, folks.
I'm shocked at that. I am honestly shocked. I would have bet my life savings on Giacomakis starting the day, and that's why I don't bet, because I'd be homeless.
Yep. I want to ask you guys a question, right? What more does Giacomakis need to do to start? He scored the equaliser. Against a really depleted Hearts team to get us back in the game, and he played really well that game, and then he scores the Champions League goal. Champions League against Shakhtar during the week. What more does the guy need to do to convince Ange?
Well, he's not Ange's favourite player, so obviously, he's going to maybe get a haircut like Kyogo or something. Maybe, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Aye.
He doesn't play in them 2 games in a row. You know what I mean? It's a mystery, like.
Well, let's go back to the Shakhtar game. Remember, Giacomakis was starting to pull up a wee bit, though. Like, I'm going to give it. It's just popped in my head there. Remember, he was wincing a little bit. Maybe it's just a precautionary. Kyogo, we know. I've just said there. We know the boy's a class player. He's just lacking confidence. Maybe Ange feels that we can use. I think I said on a previous pod that I don't think Kyogo makes the same impact off the bench that Giacomakis does. And I think maybe that might be the thinking today. Giacomakis is maybe not 100%, so I don't want to risk starting him. Kyogo's good enough. Kyogo and the squad that we've got is good enough to beat Livingston. It should be good enough to beat Livingston. Hopefully, we will get the job done. You've got Giacomakis to come off the bench that we know can make an impact. That's my thinking. I'm trying to almost justify maybe the reasonings behind it. That's my view on it.
And for I don't know if you've seen this week, but Jota's actually in the Portuguese squad for the World Cup, so he'll be looking to impress.
That'd be interesting. I'd be interested to turn up for the books because obviously our interest in the World Cup. I think the whole world is feeling this right now. We're not that enthralled about it. So from our point of view, the more Celtic players that can go out there, it does give you a bit more of an interest. I mean, I've seen that now. Probably when it all kicks off, I'll be right into it. But I'd like to see Jota being amongst it. But Portugal have got some serious talent in those areas. So if he just goes there just for the experience of it, I think it would be fantastic for him. Whether he'd actually get some game time out there, it might be a case of if he did go, say, talks like he does make it, it might be if they've qualified after 2 games. Usually what the big teams will do is in the 3rd game of the group, they'll field a weaker side to give somebody some experience. That might be the only time he gets a game, maybe off the bench. Yep. So, yeah, it would be good, though, I think, for just the experience to go out there. But as it stands right now, I'm right saying we've got the Japanese players going, Carter Vickers, potentially Matt O'Reilly if he makes the Denmark squad. That one's a bit, don't know, he's still in under 21 level at the moment. And
do we know if Kyogo and Maeda and Hitati are definitely going?
I think they would. Ideguchi, I wouldn't see going if, but I could see the other three all being picked by Japan because they also added the rule this year. It's now 26 players that they can take to the World Cup. It's usually 23,
Right.
but it's 26 this year. So there's extra places available. Same as with the Euros. Last year they allowed 26. So I've got to imagine that they three will make it, but I can't see Ideguchi going. Obviously, Aaron Moy, I would expect him to be in the Australian squad. So there's another Celtic interest heading out to the World Cup. But in terms of Jota, I think it'd be good for his just experience at that age to go there and be around all those players. It'd be fantastic for him.
Sorry, can you read the full squad out again, please? Sorry, just to start in 11's fine.
Yep. Hart, Ralston, Carter Vickers, Jens, Taylor, Moy, O'Reilly, Hatate, Forrest, Haksabanovic, Kyogo.
Right, okay. So Moy in, okay.
He is
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The World Cup's coming up. He's got to get fit, hasn't he?
Well, that's one of the theories. Yep, it is indeed.
Come on.
And I'm actually very happy with that team. I think if that team can get the job done against Livingston, then I'm sorry, they need to have a really good look at themselves.
Yeah, I think you're right. Reegan. I think you're right.
See, the thing with the Giakoumakis one is I can remember a similar situation at the tail end of last season. We were playing Ross County heading towards the end of the season. And that's a game you expect to be physical. I remember Kyogo was starting that day and everyone was convinced it'd be Giakoumakis. And I get the time, I was kind of like, oh, I can't believe Giakoumakis is playing. And Kyogo scored a goal after like 8 minutes into the game. It was like a header. And I'm like, I'm not going to quite write him off yet. Yeah, my first thought is, again, plastic pitch, really a real team of cloggers. This is a proper clogger team, Livingston. So you do think Giakoumakis, but yeah, you just know with Kyogo, it's just like that. Don't write him off too quickly because he is capable of getting a goal.
We need to remember what he's capable of. We do like I think Ange is trying to ride out this form situation, trying to get his confidence up. We can't forget like Kyogo can score a goal at nothing. It's going to be difficult though with such a compact Livingston team. Like, is there going to be enough space in behind? Who knows? But yeah, I think we need to remember Kyogo. I mean, this boy was ridiculous last year as well. Like, we can't forget how good a player he is. He's just lacking a bit of confidence today. But it's Livingston, and no disrespect to Livingston. We know we've had difficult times there, but like Reegan says, that squad should be more than capable of getting results today.
Should be.
And Scott, I suppose the big thing for Ange is the fact that if Livingston get tired of it at the 70-minute mark, then you can bring Giakoumakis on and bring Jota on.
Oh, definitely. Just like ragdoll them for the last half hour. You know what I mean? Because it wouldn't surprise me if Kyle actually came on, like, started and scored a hat trick. You know what I mean? He's that kind of player. You know what I mean? But if the last half hour, if you've got like Giakoumakis coming at you, and you've got Maeda coming on, and you know what I mean. So we've got the tools. Like, it's just using them properly. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I suppose it's a good problem for him to have, Phil, because if you've got that big a squad and you can make 5 substitutes, then like David was saying, we've got a capable squad, and I think if you're Ange, you'll know that you're going to have the majority of the ball, which is all about Livingston will just be trying to waste time and draw on the referee and hopefully get a VAR penalty or something. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because Celtic are going to have the majority of the ball. They're going to make the majority of the play. So it's just about us taking our chances.
It is. It's good. We've seen about the 5 substitute rule, though. I wonder if we're going to see the now trademark 3 subs coming on at the same time. Because the 5 subs thing, has it been a massive benefit to us? I remember when the rule was made a year ago, we decided to keep it after the COVID season had finished. And there were some detractors out there, shall we say, saying that, this is all a ploy to benefit Celtic. Has it massively benefited us, over the last 2 years? How many times really have subs came on and honestly changed the game for us? As we pointed out this season, heard Russell say it a few times. Usually the 3 that always seem to come on together the tempo seems to drop massively with the team. So it's not a case of you need to use all 5 subs, but I feel sometimes that we're doing it just because we can, and it's like
just for the sake of it.
Yeah, basically. Sometimes it feels like that. Yeah.
See, when you make a substitution, you always see it as a cliche. It's like, we just need to give them time to almost get up to pace with the game. Now you're asking 3 players on the pitch to just give them a minute to get up to speed with what's happening on the pitch. Like, that's a lot. That's quite a lot to ask of, a massive drop in tempo that you're waiting on 3 players to, get up to speed with the game. You can deal with 1. You almost don't see it. But when there's 3 players, especially if it's across the full midfield, which we tend to see. That is a lot of players to get up to speed with what's happening on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose the big thing for Ange is that he's managed to get through all this period through to a Scottish League Cup semi-final. He's managed to increase the lead in the league to 4 points, and he's found out he's missing his second best central defender, and he's missing his top attacker in Jota, and he's also missed his top midfielder in McGregor. So I think Ange will be very happy that there's been no drop points, because if you look at it, this would be an optimum opportunity for other teams to go right. Celtic are a bit weaker now, but we've managed to get through it somehow.
It's not too dissimilar this time last year. Well, the points difference but this time last year, remember, we were the walking wounded as well with so many injuries, and we were just a case of we need to get through to the January window. Well, we're seeing a few injuries here, but you just rightly say, Reegan, we're still in a really good position despite that. All these things that could potentially go against us, we're still finding a way. So hopefully that continues today, because I honestly hate Livingston. I genuinely hate playing away at Living more than it's going to Ibrox, honestly. Like, see that David Martindale and this team of cloggers and that plastic pitch. It's the one fixture I look at it, the list, I'm like, oh no, Livingston away coming up. And funny enough, we had Hearts away the week before, and that stood out to me at the start of the season. I looked at the fixture list, I was like, Hearts away and Livingston away back to back. Christ alive. And so hopefully for the Heart, it's not a hump like what we saw last week, 4-3. Let's have a nice calm, reasonable win, no drama. Yeah, please.
See, I want to ask you guys this as well, because it was something that I spoke to you on the phone about yesterday, Phil. Why was Stephen McLean and Nick Walsh, why were they having such a high profile game? Because Phil, I know you're laughing, right? But these guys were these guys were not doing their job last week, and everybody from John Hartson to Michael Stewart to Shelley Kerr to Stephen Todd, everybody within media circles, within podcasts, everybody was saying, right, well, everybody could clearly see it was a handball. Everybody could clearly see it was 2 penalties for Robbie Nielsen's side. So what are we doing? Why did these two get potentially the second biggest game in Scotland? Aberdeen away at Ibrox. Why did they get that game after being so bad the week before?
I'm struggling to understand. I mean, no surprise. It's when it comes to Scottish referees, it is always a bit of a mystery to understand. But one thing I need to ask you guys though is, see the system that they're doing. Is it going to be the same referees are paired up for every game? Because that's 2 weeks in a row. It was
you did say that yesterday.
Is it like a buddy system they're doing or something, where there's two guys are always, so if Walsh is refereeing, it's McLean, it's the VAR guy, and if McLean's refereeing, it's Walsh? Because is that how they're doing it, or was it just random luck that 2 weeks in a row that they two were together?
There's nothing lucky about them both turning up at Ibrox as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Nothing lucky about it. I'd like to see like English refs or something do it. You get on.
Aye, the English one though, don't they, Scott? Don't they have like an actual a bigger panel? Seemingly, there's a game. It's like there's 3 people in the studio, but they've got more cameras to operate.
Yeah, they've got twice the amount of cameras, haven't they? We've only got like
30 cameras or something. They've got like 30 cameras.
Aye.
And we've got wind-up cameras. But they wind up ones. You have to take them to Kodak to get them printed out to find out if it's a fucking offside decision. That's why we never saw the Abada one, because they're still waiting on it developing, so we can have a look at it and pick it up tomorrow.
When VAR came in the 2018 World Cup, the Russian one, I remember before ITV or BBC did a segment on VAR on like one of the first games to explain it all, and it was 33 cameras at every single game at that World Cup, and I believe the Premier League something similar. They've got slow-mo cameras, ultra HD cameras, all these different things. We've just got 6 extra TV cameras essentially to give them a few extra angles. But for some reason, despite we having 6 extra cameras, they still couldn't see that handball last week. And yes, we're still going on about it, and we will continue to go on about it because it was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, Phil, and the biggest worry for me is I just hope we go in this game and we do the job, because we don't want to talk about referees again. And because because I know that we're all now the game's done in that, but as I said last week, see that time cancel fixture that should have been used as a bit of homework for the referees to say that this is what you don't do.
Aye, a watershed moment. That one is it's a classic example. That video to be used forevermore. This is how not to referee it, guys. But see, that's the difference. Last week we won the game, and obviously we're up in arms about a refereeing decision. But yeah, like you said, I mean, you don't want to lose the game or drop points today, because then if Celtic do say something publicly, it looks so bad. Because it's like,
it's when we lose, we go complain.
You do it when you win. So last week was so important.
And you're not always going to score 4 goals every game either.
Aye, true.
Yeah, I mean, so we're needing 5 or 6 goals to win a game, basically.
Aye, pretty much.
Or 9.
Or
9. Aye.
You know what I mean? It's like
sometimes it doesn't really matter who we've got operating that system, because it's still, you still see it every week in the English Prem and the Champions League. Conte's getting sent off for a handball, an offside decision that I didn't see, but apparently it was.
Oh, no way in hell! No way.
Oh well, you're a Spurs man,
No
so
way
you'll have seen it. Was he offside?
No, they kept measuring it for 7 minutes, and then they eventually came to the fact that it was like a millimeter. Like I'm sorry, but this is like, why did it take you 7 minutes to decide? It's not when you look
if it's not that clear and obvious, you have then it's not. I know it's like, well, offside's offside, but it's like, but when you're having to nitpick at like something like that, then it's what's happening to the game. We're meant to be watching entertaining a game that's about scoring goals, and when it's that close, after if you're having to take 7 minutes to make a decision, then I'm sorry, but it's a goal. We want to see, and the worst part is, Reegan, right? If they give that goal, the whole atmosphere and the euphoria of scoring and celebrating a last minute winner that's got you into the Champions League next round, it's like, oh yay, we got it's killing the game. I hate VAR. I can't stress enough how much I hate it. Just get rid of the whole fucking thing. I'd rather just sit and debate and go, nah, that was never offside. Aye, it was. I'd much rather that, because you just took it on the chin. It was part of football, and I know I'm repeating myself from last time I was on, but it's I can't highlight it enough how much I just feel like it's ruining the spectacle of that is football that we've all learned to grow up with and love. It's not what we're watching anymore. And like Russell's right, this will be branded, because in Scotland we do like to have these little nicknames for certain leagues and for certain campaigns. This will be the VAR season, whether it's we win the league or lose the league, or if Rangers win the league or they lose the league. We're going to be going. That's because of that decision that we didn't get when we should have got. Blah 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 blah. It's just get rid of the whole thing.
I mean, we've got the cheap version of VAR and they still can't work it.
We've got VAR. We've got the VAR on Wish.
Aye, VAR on Wish. Aye, that's true.
Aye. Totally.
I suppose the big thing for Celtic today is that they just go out there and get the 3 points, Phil.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what they've got to do, man. Whatever it takes, they've got to adapt to the situation. I felt, again, going back to the point about an abysmal record on this plastic pitch. Brendan Rodgers couldn't win there. Lennon couldn't win there. Ange just had one win there. It just feels like at times for us where we've got a principle of how we want to play football, and we're going to play that way no matter what. And it's like sometimes you've just got to get a wee bit ugly in fixtures like this. But then again, keep in mind, folks, we've already played Kilmarnock this season at Killie with their plastic pitch and beat them 5-0. So, and after beating Livingston last season at the plastic pitch, so maybe we will go there the day and it will not be a really stodgy, scrappy game. We'll go there and turn it on. I hope so. I mean, that's what I'm praying to see. I don't want to have a nervous watch for 90 minutes where it's like, oh God, what's going to happen next? But hopefully that is a foreshadowing earlier on where we beat Kilmarnock quite heavily. Hopefully that's what's to come today, because but if it's a scrappy 1-0 or a 5-0 win, whatever, as long as it's a Celtic win, Reegan, that's all I care about, man.
Aye, Phil, and I'm just thinking about that game actually because Kyogo did start that day and he scored within the first 5 minutes.
He did. A really scrappy goal, just bundled into the net, because by any means necessary on the pitches.
Yeah, aye, because And then Giacomakis comes on and scores an overhead kick. I don't know if you remember it, aye.
Jota scored an absolute screamer that day as well, although people were saying that the keeper could have done better.
Aye.
But remember that one? He batted
that
it from about 30 yards, wasn't it?
Aye, and then Juden scored an overhead kick as well to make it fun.
So we did, aye. We really turning on the style that
Aye,
day.
we were
More
showing
of
off
that
that
today,
day.
Celtic, come on.
So if flooding pitches are ready to go by, lads, we should be getting a 5-0 win.
Oh, please, yes. Come on, famous last words. 5-0.
I'll be leaving Tony Macaroni a 5-star review if we get a 5-star. If we get a 5 goal, I'll be straight onto the Tony Macaroni website.
I want to ask you something else, guys, because it's something that me and Mark have spoken about a lot, right? We spoke about the fact that a Croatian international is getting a bit of extra treatment over Tony Nelson, but I think Ange is now seeing the light. He's now seeing the light, Phil. He's now seeing the light, David and Scott, because he's now saying that this guy, Tony Nelson, will do everything for me, and he's now getting picked over JJ, as I like to call it on Celtic Twitter. So, what do you think what do you think Ange has seen in the last few weeks?
I mean, I think Ralston's better going forward than Juranovic, and he's got a better crosser. There's a better crosser the ball than him as well.
Yeah,
it just shows a lot more heart and desire as well, doesn't it? It's like at the end of the day,
aye,
you just get that aggression just by watching him, like yeah.
I do like that comment coming in. Celtic's biggest rivals will definitely be VAR.
Aye, it will be. Well, but no, I think Scott, you're right with the crossing with Ralston. I always find that. I think the way I look at it is right. I don't really prefer one over the other. I think both of them, whoever you play, you get something good out of either of them. I mean, Ralston's improvement is astounding. Like where he's came from. It's mental to find. I remember last year when he signed that 1-year extension when Ange first came in, he was like only right back, and the fear throughout the whole support was like, "What, Ralston?" But he has come on leaps and bounds. I mean, he's not done much wrong this season. I genuinely thought for that position it would be more of a 50-50 split, where Ralston would have got more games, but it's been skewed massively in Juranovic's favour. But I feel like whoever you play, you do get a good shift at them. I think probably Ralston seems to be better as an attacking threat. As Scott says, the crosses he puts in are good. Juranovic's crossing leaves a bit to be desired, but I think Juranovic defending wise, I think he's pretty good in terms of we always think back to the 3-0 game where we beat Rangers and he was literally slide tackled, was it Ryan Kent, and then Richard got him laughed in his face. That gets some bonus points right away. As we found out with Ralston a few years ago when he laughed in Neymar's face, it does get you bonus points with fans. But yeah, I think Juranovic, you do get some good. But today is a day for Ralston, I think, in terms of that pitch, the type of team we're playing. It's going to be physical cloggers. So I think it's a good call to go with Ralston today. Hopefully he gets forward and whips a few balls into the box.
I forgot to ask you, as a former Celtic striker playing for Livingston today and Lee Griffiths, because I did see David Martindale saying that he could possibly be in the squad.
Do you play as a trialist or is he signed? Or can you play him as a trialist?
I don't know if trialists are allowed to play in competitive games. I thought it was only friendlies they were allowed to play.
Well, I did see that Lee Griffiths did the Instagram saying that he could be in the squad.
I've got
Livy's team here for you. I've got Livy's team for you here. They've got Jack Hamilton, Nicky Devlin, Sean Kelly. Is it Obalaye? Yeah. Fitzwater, Longridge, Penrith, Pittman, Holt, Kelly, Noble is up front. Interestingly, they've only got 6 substitutes on the bench. They've not named 9 subs because they have a really small squad. But Griffiths is not in there at all. But I think when it comes to a trialist, I think you can only play in friendly games, can't you? I don't think you could play in a competitive game. Or would the rules different? Or maybe
is Bruce Anderson on the bench?
Yes, number 9, Anderson on the bench. Yeah. Yes.
No, he could be a possible goal threat. He was good the past couple of years for Livingston, so he could possibly be the one that could unlock the door. But yeah, I mean that should be a team that Celtic should be scoring a lot of goals against.
It should, yeah, definitely. It's just the leveler for them is the pitch. That's it. It's their stadium and pitch. It's just a level for them because realistically, you look at their team and compared to ours, and it's like it shouldn't even be a contest. But that's the advantage they get from having being allowed to use a plastic pitch in the top flight.
Yeah, I mean, the next point I want to ask you, Scott, do you think that the fact that we've only won one game there in the past couple of years is false edge? Do you think that'll play on the players' minds? I know it probably shouldn't, but
I don't think so. Reading so the last time we were up there, we blew them away. So, you know what I mean? So I think that's what I'm done with now. I mean, it's like Ange wouldn't let them think like that anyway, would he?
You're right.
He wouldn't let them live with that mentality, would he?
Hmm.
Well, I mean, because if like the way Ange does, it's like if you play the way I'm telling you to play, you'll win.
Yep.
You shouldn't even be thinking about that. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be an issue. I don't think anyway.
You saw that last season, Scott. There was a game after what I think we played Motherwell at Fir Park, and we're playing on the same day that Rangers were playing. And he said, "Did you have an eye on the Rangers result as well today?" And he said, "No, we don't worry about things we can't control. In terms of those results in the past, we can't control them now. They're done. They're gone. We just forget about it." So you're totally right. He will just tell them, "Look, don't listen to the outside noise about your terrible record at Almondvale. Just it's all about today. It's all about going forward." So you're right. He won't allow the players to dwell on any of that nonsense.
Nah.
Another question I've got for you, David, is: do you think the fact that we're now out of the Champions League, do you think that now gives Ange a wee bit of breathing space that he can now give the players a wee bit of extra time to get themselves properly match fit and not playing every 2 to 3 days?
You like to think so, but sometimes you hear Ange's comments and it's all like we rest at the end of the season. You don't get holidays until the end of the season. This kind of mentality. So that maybe throws a spanner on that mindset. But I still believe, especially definitely domestically, that our squad is strong enough to rotate. I think the St Mirren game turned out to be a bit just a bad day at the office, you could say. I know a lot of us, when we saw the amount of changes that happened and we were a bit like, that's a lot of squad rotation. We still, I remember being on the podcast that morning, we said that's still a strong enough team to win that game. And I still believe it was. It just was everything that could go wrong went wrong. And then we were all saying, I don't want to see that amount of changes again in the squad. And you could argue that we have. Was in the cup game there, we made a whole load of changes and we beat Motherwell relatively comfortably. I think you could see a few more big rotations in the squad for the reasons that you're saying, Reegan. And the squad is definitely still strong enough to win those games. I'm not overly worried about seeing massive rotation. There's maybe some players that you still see in that starting lineup and you go, I'm not so sure I'd like to see him start, but you wouldn't maybe be necessarily too upset about him coming off the bench. I think you're probably right. I think Ange will use now the fact that we're going to have a less congested calendar that he could use to rest players in maybe games that he feels that he doesn't necessarily need to maybe risk a Jota or a Giakoumakis.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the big thing, Phil, as well that we're not thinking about is every player will be trying their damnedest today, because everybody will say Celtic are in the Champions League. Every player in the world wants to play at the Bernabeu on Tuesday night, so every player will be on fire today, I'm thinking, because see, if you're Tony Nelson, you don't want to be on the bench at the Bernabeu watching Juranovic.
No.
Aye.
It will be though.
I just thought though, we're going to get that thing we talked about at the start of the season. We're going to get Bernabeu at the Bernabeu away. Is it going to happen? I wonder if that'll go down that one. But Taylor, it's his shirt to lose. But I just came into my head there. But see, another thing as well though, Reegan, is these players should be trying their damnedest from now to see, because see if they want the Champions League again, if they enjoyed those games, they need to win this league this season. We can't be gambling on qualifiers. Yep. So I'd like to think that, not just with this game in mind on coming up midweek against Real Madrid, we want to go again next year. So these big players like Juranovic and Giakoumakis, Kyogo, all of them, if they enjoyed that Champions League campaign and they want the big games back again and don't have to worry about 4 fixtures with Motherwell and stuff as like the main games of the season, then they need to be putting in top performances from now to the end of the season and win this league in a bit of style, get it wrapped up, and we go again next year with it. So hopefully that starts today. Comprehensive victory.
And I think the important thing is as well is that the way the coefficient's looking next season will be definitely in. So the fact that if we can go out there and Tuesday do well, and then Hearts and Rangers get a good result, then we can be propping back up there. I did like Stephen Thompson last night. He did say that if Rangers beat Ajax by 5-0, they can still go through.
It's the same Stephen Thompson that when Dundee United were 5-0 down at half time, turned to John Rankenshoe and went, John, 5-0 at half time, so is the game over? Yes, it's over. Aye,
5 own goals by Barca.
Aye, that's definitely to look out for. I mean, I wouldn't rule out Rangers getting like a victory this coming week in that game, but 5-0, I can't see that happening. Maybe they'll sneak like a game to restore a bit of pride for them, I guess, after a pretty brutal campaign, but I can't see that happening for them. Stephen Thompson's definitely on cuckoo land with that one.
Yeah.
If Margot Robbie responds to my text message, I might get a date with her.
Aye, maybe.
I mean, who knows?
Oh, God. Right, guys, so I just wanted to ask you, have you got a score prediction for the day then?
3-0 Celtic.
I'm going to stick with my 2-1 that I said in the score predictor. I'll go 2-1.
You're just clinging on there at the top, Reegan. Just clinging on. You need it. You need the 3 points for that one. I usually go for like a sort of safe 2-0, so I'll happily just 2-0. But I'll take any Celtic victory day, but I'll go for 2.
I'm going to say 4-0. Fuck it.
Yes, come on.
Come on. 3 overhead kicks and a scorpion kick to finish it off.
By Aaron Moy. All of them by Aaron Moy. Every one of them.
A ricochet off of the back of Maeda's head.
Aye.
Vintage Maeda.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would. He does score some scrappy goals, but they'll count at the end of the day. Imagine if you just turned up though one day and just pinged one at the top corner for like 30 yards. Astounding.
That's not going to happen, though.
Imagine it though. Just imagine one day we're all sitting there thinking it'll never happen, and then he just does it. Just like, what? Blowing my mind here.
So, guys, I was thinking about talking points last night, and I'm going through Twitter, and I'm going through the general Scottish media, and I'm thinking, what can I talk about this morning? And then I seen an article from Graham Souness basically saying that Celtic and Rangers should merge, they should go in the same stadium. And I just like, what is he on about? What is he on about?
Oh man, that's his headline grabbing at its finest, man. That's the guy that's on his way to Sky. He's got one day a week getting scalded by Simon Jordan on a Monday on Talks, but he's needing to get himself a job out there, and he's just trying to keep himself relevant. That's all that is.
It's convenient he's done it when Rangers said that when Rangers are stinking.
Oh God!
Yeah, it's a bit convenient that.
That is an astounding take. Although what David just said there is a headline, because did the actual article, was it one of those ones where the headline is a lot more sensational than the actual substance of the article? We actually read it and it turns out he didn't quite say that, but obviously they put it in big bold letters that that's the headline.
Was he just? I've not read it, but has he just alluded to like using it as an example of if Celtic and Rangers shared a stadium, it might look more appealing to this, that, and the next thing, opposed to actually saying that they need to do it or they should do it. I think he's probably just speaking in just topical,
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the idea, but I just don't get the whole idea. I don't think both clubs would even look at it. I mean, I don't think even both clubs even. I don't think both boards even get on. Look at all the statements and all that. The Rangers probably when Celtic was winning 9 in a row about all of these different things. So it's just not going to work.
I mean, I know Souness played out in Italy in his career for like Sampdoria, and over there they've got like the 2 Milan clubs share a stadium and the 2 Rome clubs share a stadium, but it's a bit different out there in terms of like, I mean, the rivalry. I think the rivalry between Roma and Lazio is pretty intense. The 2 Milan clubs, it's not as intense, but with Celtic and Rangers, you could never pull that off at all. But
the bigger question would be, what would be the ticket allocation for the home games?
Oh my God!
How many tickets are we going to get to our own fucking stadium today?
Oh, that would happen. That definitely would become a talking point. Oh God!
You're getting 4.
And then what happens to the toilets as well? The toilets are always getting trashed.
They're wrecking their own toilets.
They're wrecking their own toilets.
Oh god,
Brilliant.
that would be a nightmare. Sorry, what's next? Half and half scarves. Oh,
I'm not wanting to take a piss in. I'm not taking a piss in this toilet. Somebody was drinking in it the other day, for fuck's sake.
no. We should have known we walked into that one there mentioning toilets and Rangers in the same sort of context. It's like we should have seen that one coming. Oh,
yeah, man. Brilliant.
I want to ask you guys as well. I don't know if you've seen the radio interview this week, but Ange basically describes how that he got the Celtic job. Did you manage to see this, Phil?
Is this that he was? It was AEK Athens that apparently were very close to getting him as well. I didn't hear the interview now, but I saw somebody posted somewhere about Athens were very close to getting him.
Yeah, so it was the day,
I saw the interview. Yeah, I've seen it as well.
It was the day before the Celtic job. He was down to the final two for AEK Athens on a three-year contract, but they basically pulled out and says they're going to go for a Greek manager that knows the Greek league. But he said that basically his wife and his kids were all up for it. They went to bed very, very upset, and then the next day they said, "Look, our top target, Eddie Howe, has pulled out the running. Would you be interested? You're next on the list." Sort of thing.
Oh wow,
that's right. And he had a long conversation. I think it's like an hour and a half with Desmond, and then he was like, "Right, just 2 minutes. I'm going to put you through to the board of directors or whatever." And next, he turned to his wife and he's like, "I think I'm getting this job here." Like he was pretty confident he was already going to get it before he even spoke to the board, and then they popped up on the Zoom call and had a 45-minute chat, and they said to him, "We see why Dermot likes you. Right, give us 5 minutes." Disappeared off the WhatsApp, and he was already packing his bags. He was pretty confident he'd got the job, and obviously the rest is history, as they say. You can watch it on DVD on all across all Celtic FC superstores and YouTube channels alike.
Indeed,
it was like it was written in the stars there. It was just meant to be.
I worked out in the end, but that's quite interesting to see that he was that close to maybe being Athens. You're telling me his family were up for it, and that could have been a huge thing. Even if Celtic did come back and were like, we're going to give you the job. If his family had been like, I don't really fancy that, what would have happened then? But it's all worked out for us in the end, and thank goodness it has. All we need now is for the club to tie him down to a longer deal that we keep saying on the bus. Come on.
Yep. See, that's the thing, right? You're saying, Reegan, that he was the last two to get a 3-year deal in Greece. Now there's stability for the family going back. Now I don't know if his wife's got any Greek heritage, but they obviously seem pretty keen to go back to Greece, knowing that they're going to be there for at least 3 years, so long as obviously it goes well, to then be offered a job in Glasgow on a rolling contract. It's not, let's face it, like when you get offered a job and you're getting told it's a rolling contract, there's no real, you're not fully confident of how stable that job is going to be. So it is quite interesting what his mindset and what the family's mindset was when it's like, well, we had the stable 3-year life that we're about to have in Greece, to now we're going, well, you've got this offer in Glasgow, massive club, amazing club, but it's, if it doesn't go right after 4 games, you could be out the door. And even if it does go amazing, you've only got you on a rolling contract. It's an interesting wonder what was really going through his mindset. How easily was his family also persuaded to take the Celtic job, and why has Celtic went, well, you've done everything that you said you would do. You won us a cup. You won us a league title back. You got us in the Champions League. Why have we not offered him another contract yet? Clearly wants one. Like, he clearly obviously is attracted to the longer contract deals. He obviously wanted the AEK Athens job. They were gutted they didn't get it.
And the only thing I would say to that, David, is that he did say at the end of the interview, he did say well, I forgot what I was going to say. He did say that the big reason why he took Celtic was that he felt that Australian managers were looked down upon, and he wanted his first foot in the door in Europe.
Yeah, he had the point to prove as well. A few chip on the shoulder, because again, a lot of fans here, a lot of Celtic fans, we were like, Australian manager, because instantly we think Australian league, it's not a very high quality. It's managed in the Japanese league. Again, we don't see it as like, maybe I've got cheek to talk. I mean, Scottish league isn't exactly the best, is it? But when you look at European leagues and stuff, there was a few fans with a bit of ignorance towards football on that side of the world. Oh, you know, what's he going to bring? But oh man, as soon as I heard his first interview, I was like, no, I'm buying into what this guy's saying. This guy knows his stuff, and his philosophy seems like it's perfect for us, and it's worked out very well in the end.
I was the same with you, Phil. I bought into the Ange's, like, just listened to his interviews, listened to a few snippets on YouTube and Twitter of Australian radio when they were talking about him being linked. Just obviously wanted to do a bit of homework on the guy, and I thought this guy could we might have won a watch with this boy just for the way they're talking about him. But then I don't know if you remember when Tom Rogic wasn't really getting much game time at Celtic when he first came, and I think he got shipped out on loan a couple of times. I remember reading an article. The Australian national manager at the time was saying that he had to get out of Celtic and it was terrible for his career and he needs to leave.
Yes.
That manager was Ange Postecoglou. And I remember reading that going, who the fuck is this guy? So, like, an Australian manager trying to tell Tom Rogic he shouldn't just get to... And now it's just so funny just because of our ignorance. No clue who he was back then. And even when he first came, no complete ignorance. But he's proven me wrong anyway. For sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody was better than Neil Lennon. Come on, I mean.
But after that, definitely after that one.
That's not for yeah.
The only thing I would say on the win, I feel a bit sorry for him, and I feel a bit sorry for Brandon Barker and even the players that went over there. I mean, they're going over there doing Neil Lennon a favour, and then he's been sacked.
Yeah.
That club even changed their kit this year to green and white hoops just to because I saw them playing Man United and I was like, have they always is green and white hoops like their kit? Because I was like, that's so convenient that Neil Lennon's turned up there. No, last season they just had a green shirt with white pinstripes and it's usually been stripes they've wore. But this season they changed to hoops, I guess, to appease Lennon and make him feel more at home, I guess. And
Lincoln City did the same for Sutton. Lincoln City did the exact same thing for Sutton in their away kit.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that at all.
It's just funny, because obviously my dad, he's in Lincoln, and I remember going down, and obviously Sutton had gotten the managerial job, and that season their away kit was the green and white hoops.
Okay.
Just funny, just appease this will get the Celtic fans on board. We'll get a few.
I bet Lennon wish they just kept the old strip.
They'll be changing back to the normal, just regular green kit next season at Ammonia Nicosia. White and green hoops. It's mental.
Do we see Lennon getting back into the British football?
No.
Whether it's in Scotland or down south?
Not Scotland, maybe down south, but I think it would be in the lower leagues of
League 1 or League 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't see a Premier League team or even a Championship team at this stage, but I still think that's a good few years away before that happens.
But that's what I mean, guys. That's what I mean, guys. Right? So Neil, this guy that can't even get a job in Scottish Premier League or lower down south. This was the guy that was in charge of getting his most important season, supposedly, by the supporters. The 10 in a row.
Scary to think about it when you say it like that. It's like he was put in charge. But it's a weird one. The treble, we won that day against Hearts. The atmosphere, just half an hour after the game had finished, was so somber when the news came through that Lennon was getting it full time. And deep down, a lot of us kind of thought it's probably going to happen. This is Celtic after all. If there's a cheap option, they'll normally go for it. But at the time, remember, there was was it Rafa Benitez's name was flying around and David Lloyd was at a job. And then it's no, we just put their CVs in a drawer and never looked at them. Although I don't think he quite literally did that. But it was still crazy hyperbole to say that on live television. It was what are you doing?
And then you had Villas-Boas as well, Phil.
Villas-Boas, that's right. His name was floating around as well. Andre Villas-Boas. I would have welcomed any of them, to be fair.
And what was the cruise manager? Is it Corfu or what's his name?
Oh, aye. Because we'd cross paths with them literally just a few months later, wouldn't we? After he got that job. It was Koku, remember Koku? Is it? Philip Koku, yeah, the Dutch manager. Yeah, I remember him.
Aye. So finally, Val, can you just say the starting lineup again for people that have joined in late?
I shall indeed. I've already went to Livingston's lineup. I need to go back to Celtics just now. Celtic FC. Let's have a look.
Because I know some people probably joined in late and they don't know the starting lineup.
Yeah, because I mean, who wants to watch? I'm going to take a guess that Chris Boyd is probably on Sky's coverage, which nobody really wants to be watching, do they? Let's be honest here. God almighty, there it is. Here. So it's a Hart, Ralston, Carter Vickers, Jens, Taylor, Moy, O'Reilly, Hattati, Forrest, Haksabanovic, and Kyogo. And the bench is Siegrist, Giacomakis, Abada, Turnbull, Jota, Bernabei, Abelgard, Maida, and Juranovic.
Okay, guys, well, thank you. And I'm sure we'll be joined for PNP later on by some great people. It's been good to be on today. And this week we've got Monday Club. Then you've got the Breakfast Club on Wednesday. The Breakfast Club was a big success this week, Phil.
Did very, very well. Before we go, can I also just give a bit of appreciation to Scott here, who's basically been hunched over his table the entire time. Scott, we told you to start to sit down. David Ferguson said in the chat, have you got any seats in your house, mate? You've been hunched over like that the entire time.
There's no seats on this bus today. So he's hanging on.
Aye. And also, I'll remind everybody before we go, because there's 90 people still watching, to remember to do all the good stuff like comment, subscribe, like, and share, because it helps the algorithm and helps the channel out massively. We'd massively appreciate it.
Okay, guys, I'm not sure what time the post match is on. Do you have a clue, Val? What time?
Probably about 2:30. I'm going to take a stab. I think Russell's in the live chat now, so he'll probably confirm that. But a link will be up it'll be up during the game. It'll be 2:30 start, I reckon. Around about there. Depends on Russell when he's available. But yeah, look for it this afternoon.
Okay, guys, well, this will be your number one place for your PMP. So just make sure you're on here for later on, guys, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining me.
Right. Catch you later, guys. See ya.
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.